Colin Powell in front of the UN, and who's sitting behind him? You.
Right.
And he's laying out with tape recordings and satellite photos and everything, and I'm believing it.
Our conservative estimate is that Iraq today has a stockpile of between 100 and 500 tons of chemical weapons agent.
I'm telling my audience I believe Powell.
Right.
Because I know Powell, I know a little bit about you, and I'm saying there's no way that these guys are so insane to go in front of the world and lie. They're just not going to do it.
Well, lie's not what we did, Bill.
Okay.
Lie's a bad word.
Just
Bill.
keep in mind the Bush lied crowd, how big it is in America, how big it is overseas, how that's taken on a life of its own. Keep that in mind, because that's hurting us today. Okay, so Powell is doing all of this stuff, and he's saying that they have these deadly weapons, and we're afraid that they're going to hand them off to terrorists, Al-Qaeda and everybody else, and this guy better open up the inspectors. He better let them in, or we're going to move them out. Now, if you had found the WMDs, we'd be heroes today, I believe, in the world's eyes. And that was a turning point in America.
We believed he had weapons of mass destruction.
You believed it. Why? Specifically you.
I believe it going back to my time in the Clinton administration when we were concerned about Iraq. I believed on the basis of 10 years of following it, data that we'd seen, his deception, his denial, his thwarting of the UN, I believed it in my core that he had it. Here's a guy that basically, here's a guy that basically was going to have his country destroyed because he wasn't honest about it.
All right, so you as a director of the agency,
listen, Bill,
over years, you believed it with every fiber of your body, and you told the president, and you sat there behind Powell. Okay, mistake, everybody makes them. The Bush lied crowd basically is putting out there that there was no reason to go into Iraq other than Bush's venality, for whatever reason they ascribe some. In your book, you say that a top al-Qaeda lieutenant, Zarqawi, who was killed in Iraq subsequently, was given safe harbor in Iraq and then ran operations in the northern part of that country for al-Islam.
Well, so let's deconflict all this and put it all in its proper context. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Let's put it in context.
Zarqawi first.
There are three pieces that caused us concern: contacts, training, safe haven. We've seen contacts for a long time. There was an issue of training. The one issue that concerned us was this fellow that we captured, Ibn Sheikh al-Libi, who is an al-Qaeda senior operational trainer, told us that they may have acquired some chemical training from the Iraqis. We believe that. And then we have Zarqawi. So there are three pieces.
Well, did Zarqawi go from the battlefield in Afghanistan to Baghdad?
Well, he shows up in Baghdad in May of 2002.
He shows up.
Where he comes from, I don't know. He shows up. So we document three areas of concern. Here's where we could not take you. Here's where the problem emerges. We cannot take you to Iraqi complicity, authority, direction, and control for any terrorist act that al-Qaeda has committed. We make those distinctions clear. The problem area that I document in the book is we had concern about areas. There was enough to be concerned about, and the concern is some people tried to take it farther than it deserved and tried to create command linkages where they didn't exist. So I parsed it for you, and there were these areas of concern. And we separated away from authority, direction, and control what we don't think existed.
If you believe the New York Times, there was absolutely no link at all between Saddam and al-Qaeda.
Here's what you can't prove, Bill, in our business. Link says there's some connection here. Now,
well, so if Zarqawi's there, you don't just go there.
So you and I, right, we're street smart guys. My operational presumption at the time was he shows up in Baghdad.
You just don't show up in Baghdad.
And they thought they had a good environment. But when you say link, when you say control, when you say command, you see these linkages. So keep the story straight, Bill. Here are concerns.
Right.
Don't take the story farther. Don't make it more than it needs to be. And there's where the tension came in. But you can't ignore the front end. And I think the chapter here says to you, look, there were some areas of legitimate concern.
Okay. In our next segment, something that has been bothering me very much. How could we screw up Iraq so badly? And later, Dennis Miller on Rosie O'Donnell disrespecting him.